This one doesn't want to stop, folks. We are having a great session on the Pellet Waggler. We've just been doing a little bit of filming, talking about fishing venues that you've never visited before. That venue that you always probably drive by or you hear about, and you've never actually wet a line there. So that's one of those places for me today. And we've ended up catching on a Pellet Waggler. It's been brilliant fishing. These fish are absolutely fantastic, great condition. Everyone pulls your arm off as well. And I thought, because we're catching a few fish, when we get this fish out, God, he's gone on another run. When we get this fish out, I'll run through just the approach and the kit, because there's a few little changes that you might not think about in your own Pellet Waggler fishing. A few things that I've learnt today that can maybe pass on. It might help you out in your next day out on a waggler. And also, it's just a great way of refining your Pellet Waggler fishing. So you can see I'm just taking my time with this fish, and there's a good reason, and we'll show you that in a second. The main reason is you don't need many of them for a decent weight, because they're all reasonable chunks. And I think because this venue isn't fished every single day by lots of anglers, I think they're all really fighting fit fish. He's in the net. So that is a classic Pellet Waggler fish for this lake. This is Orlando Lake, and this is a lake that not too far from my house really in Leicestershire. I drive by it quite often, but I've never fished it. So today has been a great day out on a brand new venue. Look at this for a cracking fish. Let's see if I can hold him up. Look at that. Beautiful condition. Absolutely stunning condition. Probably about, I don't know, 4 or 5 pounds, something like that. Average stamp of the ones we've been catching today. Go on then, mate. He's away. Right, let's talk about the gear, because like I say, when I'm Pellet Waggler fishing, unless we need to chuck a long distance, I'm not really keen on using big heavy floats that's going to make loads of noise when it goes into the water. I see a lot of Pellet Wagglers in the shops, stubby Pellet Wagglers, they're as thick as your finger, and that is what most people seem to think is a Pellet Waggler. That's fantastic, and they do catch fish, but on a lot of smaller venues, I mean today here we're only casting 20, 22 metres, something like that. There's just no need for those stubby floats at all. So, float wise, we've got on what is a pretty standard thick crystal waggler. This is a midi fat boy. You know I love these floats. The main reason being is the weight. It's so compact at the base of the float. It just means the float flies really straight, really accurately every time. It's not a really bulky float, but it's got a nice visible tip. It supports a 6mm or an 8mm pellet reasonably well. It's a really nice refined version of scaled down Pellet Waggler. You know, perfect. Fools a lot of fish that have probably seen that big splash time and time again. The line, now this line is 0.16. When we're talking about catching big weights of fish, we always talk about using robust kit and really heavy gear. But when we're using light floats and we're casting light floats and we don't want that drag on the line, the main line has to be thin. It's 0.16, obviously that way when I'm casting out, my float stays in position for longer and also means I can get away with a slightly lighter float as well. Obviously, if I was to chuck with maybe 020 line, 022, I've got to use a heavy float to carry that main line out there. The reel, when we're talking about giving you guys the edge, it's little details. So the reel, this is a Kuma Seamar HD. It's a 5000 size, and also it's got a fast retrieve. So when I'm talking about a fast retrieve, I'm talking about reels that have got something like 5.8 to 1, 6.2 to 1, something like that. You'll see it on the box, it's a gear ratio. What you'll find is feeder reels generally have a lower ratio, 4.8 or 5 to 1, something like that. It means they've got more power, and for every turn of that reel, you crank back less line with that lower ratio.
Right, if you want to get better at fishing and you love your fishing and want those little extras that make you catch more fish, all you've got to do is subscribe to The Edge. So how do you do it? Well, you can go on the website, www.anglingedge.co.uk. On there, we've got a massive catalogue of videos. We've got detailed videos, short videos, tips, hints, tricks, all different types of fishing, feeder float, rivers, still waters, you name it, we've got it. And you can also subscribe on YouTube and watch all your favourite videos on YouTube as well. All the back catalogue is on there. Get subscribed and enjoy it.
But we're waggler fishing today. We're going to be really busy. We're in and out all the time, casting that pellet waggler all day. If we can maybe get 20 or 30 casts extra throughout the day with this faster reel, this reel that's got a higher gear ratio, it means, in theory, we're going to get more chance of catching a fish. So just these little tiny tweaks are going to help us get the edge. So we've got that faster ratio reel on. Now, hook length wise, obviously we're trying to catch shallow. Doesn't mean we have to use a really short hook length. This hook length, you can see there, it's probably about 4 foot long. The drag on that line, on that hook length, is going to help hold that bait up in the upper layers for a little bit longer. It's also going to fish through the water better. So when I cast out, I want that separation between my float and the hook bait. It's going to splat on the water surface and it's going to slowly sink through the water column. Hopefully it's going to stay as tight as possible to the float, because when a fish picks up that bait, we want him to feel the float or hook himself against the rod tip straight away. The longer hook length works so much better than a shorter hook length when you're pellet waggler fishing. Obviously there's a limit. I think in normal situations that 4 foot is about the limit, but it's very rare that I go below 3 foot when I'm pellet waggler fishing, even if I can see fish sucking off the surface. You know, I think that longer hook length holds that bait up for longer. The hook length is the same material as the main line, it's 016. And the hook, it's a size 16. I wouldn't hesitate to use a size 18, but it's a size 16. I'm just using a KKH today. It's a size 16, like I say, and I've got a bayonet tied knotless knot on the end of my hair. And on that bayonet, I'm not using pellets. I think pellets are great sometimes, maybe when you're hanging a bait for a long time, but when I'm fishing through the water, as I am today, a little wafter has been absolutely spot on today. I've got some different colours on my side tray. I've got some obviously brown ones, some yellow ones, some white ones, you name it. I've got all the different colours of the rainbow. And I find one of these little wafters or wowsers are absolutely fantastic when you're trying to catch fish through the water, because obviously they sink a lot slower. You've got more time in that kill zone. Like I say, it's working perfectly today. Hopefully you can see there, it's a very refined, subtle version of a pellet waggler setup. Just a few little tweaks, and you know, I've gone from here today from expecting to maybe just get an odd bite. I'm catching almost a fish nearly every 4 or 5 casts. I'm getting a bite and a fish. It's fantastic fishing. So give it a try on your next session out. Refine your pellet waggler fishing, and I think you'll catch a few more fish.